Okay.
Oh, we should separate, so we're not in the target. Yeah.
It's just so
This is gonna be a quick meeting, right?
frustrating. I really hope so.
Quick meeting.
Okay. Are we all set? Do I have to do anything else?
I think that should be good.
Okay.
Now we can of course check, but
Yeah. All right.
thanks.
No, a new rep is in the three-legged octopus on the table. It'll be coming, that's dead.
On your mute button, it says it's
In fact,
that's
as long as you don't hand
not
out
moving.
Well, I think you're pinching the volume buttons with the.
Yeah, you're right. I am.
There are more ways that this can go wrong than.
Rick calling again. How are you all doing?
Grumpy about this not being in the French room, but I think we've got it going.
Do you want to post this to something now so people have the link?
I'm doing my best. Okay. I'm gonna plug this in if that's okay with you, and then, yeah.
I
Why
can
don't you pull up your computer and see if it's working?
Okay. That's why I'm getting my headphones out.
But yeah, I will do that.
What's it? No, this is just on YouTube. She's about to post the link.
You can phone in your vote.
You can. State law allows it.
Something in the bylaws.
Hi Deb, it's Owen. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yes. Awesome. So we're gonna get started here in just a minute or so.
Well, Owen will know where she's sorry to close.
Just one person on the back line?
Yeah, just one. Do we know if Wendy's
Hi, Rodman.
coming? No.
Wendy is not coming. No, Wendy.
You got it, makes sense. Awesome, so bang, 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 call the meeting to order. Thank you all for showing up on relatively short notice. Pretty Spartan agenda today. We're gonna have public comment and then review the scrapped out community composting contract again and vote on it and go about our merry business. So, first thing is public comment. Public comment is for any non-agenda item. I suppose if you want to make public comment on the scrapped out community posting, we'll offer an opportunity to have public comment before that item. But general public comment from anyone in the public? Yep.
I guess I'm the only public comment. I don't, anybody else here?
But sure,
Oh.
okay, go ahead.
Right here? Hi, good evening. My name is Arlene Jerwitz-Layton. I've been living on Youngtown Road for close to 40 years. I compost all my solid waste, so the proposal that we have tonight is not that you're going to be looking at. I don't personally at this point in my life need, but I know that there are many people in these 4 towns who have been asking for this service. And I really feel that we need, for me anyway, I did some research. I read the proposal by Scrap Dog. I also watched the October 24th, 2018 meeting in which the vote happened. And really feel when I looked over Scrap Dog's proposal, and they pointed out that 20% of our solid waste is food waste. I feel that Scrap Dog proposal would fill a need for our four towns. Now, I know that, especially with the people from the Lincolnville board who voted against this proposal, that they felt that the part-time employee would offer the services would not be appropriate. But I feel, I concur with a number of other people on the board that overseeing the food waste collection and understanding the operations of the facility would be a plus to be able to see this proposal have fruition. The other thing that was very telling about this proposal is that they went out of their way to receive a grant from the DEP to begin its food waste composting operations. Now, I read something that Allison McKellar wrote on this point, and I wish to read it to all of you because I think it really addresses what we're dealing with right here. The reason that the DEP started giving out grants for this was because there wasn't much luck getting municipal composting service going on their own, especially in semi-rural areas. So when Scrap Dog came to us with the opportunity for a pilot program, the thought was that we could see how far it goes for a year. And the fact that Davis works at the transfer station part-time would actually ensure that it is monitored closely. If the program is successful and we decide it's something we want to continue, we will then have the data and the project scope that we can put out to bid. It would be great if it turns out there are multiple competing options for composting food waste within a year's time, but for now that's just not the case. I want to say that I think that we need the entrepreneurship in our community for people like Scrap Dog who are looking at solid waste management, solid waste flow as an economic viable option for them. I really think that this is the new economy and we should honor it. And I really would like us to rethink what we're doing here and award them the contract. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And you had some comment?
Well, I thought we were supposed to hold it until.
We were, that was the guidance, but it's just guidance. It's just guidance.
And that was before we started.
Was there anyone that had like a non-Scrap Dog related thing that they wanted to say? Great, then please, feel free to go ahead.
Okay. Well, my name's Robin Tarantino, and I'm another Lincolnville resident, and I have to admit, I was very disappointed that it wasn't only the Lincolnville representatives. I was disappointed that most of the board voted against it, and I have to say, really surprised that it seemed that the reason given was that conflict of interest. Because, yes, there's a conflict of interest, but that in and of itself isn't a black and white, oh my lord, he works part-time here, we can never engage this person in business. It's only a conflict if it creates an actual tension between his best interests and the community's best interests. And I really don't see a tension here. He's not a supervisor. I'm sorry, I'm not even sure it's you. I can't if he was in charge of the negotiations with his business or had some input into that, that's a conflict that's worthy of, killing a deal. But he's not. And let's see, my other comment actually was, Kern mentioned, well, what if other dump employees bring up ideas for using other stuff? More power to them, that's great, because we have a solid waste problem in our country and in our state and in our communities. And if we can come up with innovative ideas for how to use this stuff, the fact that someone actually is working at the dump shouldn't mean that their idea gets thrown out. I actually wrote written comments if you needed to have things to put in, which are probably expressed better than I'm saying extemporaneously. But the third thing that I wanted to say was he says he'll check the bins on his breaks and on his lunch break. Could someone explain when you all are discussing how this piece of the recycling that we do at the dump is any different than the existing recycling? I mean, I love your employees at the dump. They're great when I go. I've gotten a lot of good advice from them about where to put my plastics especially, and what to do and not to do. It seems like they're in that area. It's where the bins are. It's natural that anybody dropping off stuff is going to be asking them questions. So they're going to have to answer these questions. And the bins themselves need very little hands-on work. Monitoring it. If it's full, lock it down. That was what I got from the discussion and from reading. I don't see how that's any different than what they do with the cardboard thing. It's a different scale because they're smaller, but so I don't think he should use his breaks. He's entitled to his breaks, and he isn't an employee in that area. I mean, you don't ask somebody at the gatehouse to come down and help someone with their cardboard. It's the people that are around there. So those were my 3 comments, and I'll give you the written comments if you want them, but I'm done.
Any other public comment? Great. All right, so agenda item B, or letter B. So, Jim, have there been, can you explain to us any of the changes that you
Yes,
see in this contract?
fortunately, I got, there's probably not enough to make it all the way around, but Dawn at Gibbons' office stated before and after the new line. When I talked to Paul, we didn't directly address the contract last meeting, but after that meeting, I took what I believe to be concerns to Paul to see if a contract, to see if there's one, a conflict of interest, and 2, to see if he could write up a contract that would be amenable to both parties. And he was pretty adamant that there is no conflict because he's for us. He does what we give him to do for a job, which is the way it is there. So he went further in this version that you have and explicitly described the fact that Davis actually works for us, and when he's working for us, he's working for us, not himself. He changed the termination clause to be more forgiving, but for any reason. We qualified it for order and vectors and things, but he just struck it and put, you can terminate this 3 days, right?
Same as a vote.
Okay. He put in an article on workers' comp. They are exempt because they're the principals in their organization, so they don't need workers' comp. There was an article on holding harmless agreement, both sides holding each other harmless in the case of mishap. It's typical, they just threw in some typical contract language other than those particular 2 points in the beginning. He wants compliance with the state laws. They've got to. They're under, the Department of Agriculture is overseeing their compost operation at that farm. And that's really about it. Insurance issues, which I think were in there, but he made them more
so Paul and I, talked about this, and in the compliance portion, it says, you know, United States of America, state of Maine, and town of Washington. Am I kind of reading the town of Washington as, well, I guess one of the things that Paul and I had talked about that I guess I just don't have super clarity on is kind of why Bow Lake Farm in Washington is brought into it, because it's not directly related to what we're doing. Kind of seemed like it was described to me as it's just good to have a whole systems, understanding of permitting and insurance and things like that, and you can't go wrong there, but I was slightly.
Referring to,
So where they would take it to in Washington,
what's it got to do with the contract?
because in compliance, section 11, it says town of Washington twice.
Thank you. Question.
And look, I'm not a lawyer, and if it makes sense and this is standard practice and it's not gonna cause an unreasonable burden, then whatever, it's fine. I thought that was interesting, because basically, no consumer would ever be going to Washington unless they had an agreement with Bow Lake.
Correct.
And everything Scrap Dog would be doing would be at the facility specific, not in town of Washington.
Is this where this composting being done?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's why.
So they
That's why
would
it's
take
in
it from the
That's why it's
facility
in it
to
should be-
Washington,
and it should be.
and it should be in there, okay.
because if if Washington had its own ordinance on composting,
That's
they
correct.
need to comply with it.
And we're just making sure they're complying with the local ordinances where the stuff is being done. Compost.
Composting.
My only other comment is, there's like an amendment here to put C on Midco Solid Waste
Yes.
Corporation, and yet it's just not consistent through the entire document.
The C.
The C, like in the first line,
Oh, I see.
it doesn't have it, and then
No, I
you
know.
go to other areas.
That's my
But it's a
good.
very minor thing.
I think you're losing.
Yeah. I would entertain discussion, about this, or a motion to accept, or
I would move that we accept the contract as presented.
with the amendments of the Cs.
Yes, as presented and as amended.
Deborah has something.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Deborah.
This is Deborah from.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Deb, I'm gonna cut you off momentarily because we have a motion, but we don't have a second, so discussion is,
I was going to second it.
oh, then, there we go.
Right on time.
So we have a motion and a second, and discussion. Deb, did you wanna talk more?
No, really, I just wanted to say hello, everyone, on the newly appointed other Rockport representative, and it's my first meeting. And I have, studied this, and I agree, I don't believe that there's conflict. I appreciate the comments that were made from the two residents, and fully agree with those, and I think that Allison's comments were very helpful that were read. For a number of reasons, I read that the Rockport Select Board has discussed this and thought that it was a good contract to enter into, or a good pilot project to enter into, and I totally support it on their behalf, along with, for my vote.
Great, thank you.
Welcome, Deborah.
Welcome, welcome.
Allison.
Go ahead, David.
Okay. I move to amend the motion before we authorize representative of Midco Solid Waste Corporation to sign the agreement that we instruct our facility manager to research and report to the board the opportunities available for food waste recycling. Explore possible partnerships in food waste recycling with other regional municipalities. Prepare a publicly available request for proposals for food waste recycling services. Publicly advertise the availability of the request and reach out directly to known providers. Publicly open the responses. Review the responses and make a written recommendation to the board, including cost and benefit analysis as the manager's preferred service provider, and submit any proposal proposed contract reviewed by our corporate legal counsel to ensure that the public's interests are protected.
I second that.
Point of order.
Yes.
Point of order, if a motion has been made, then amendments to motion must be agreed to by the person that's made the motion. Until that time, this motion has to be acted on first.
I'm just gonna assume that you're correct on that, because I actually don't know.
And
Yeah.
I'm trying to scratch
But
my head on that one, too.
the way that I would, if it's appropriate to respond to this, personally, I would support all of these things after our one-year pilot project ends. I know there already has been extensive research that has happened, over the last 5 years or something, 4 years I've been watching these meetings. We've had compost services, or actually not composting, but food waste disposal services come and speak to us. I've been up to Exeter Agri Energy with other board members, so I think the manager is very aware of what some of the options are, and it's just quite clear that they're more expensive, and all of those things would make sense to do after a one-year pilot program. I did additional research over the last week, and there are lots of places that are doing one-year pilot programs.
I'm gonna
So,
cut you off just
Yeah.
briefly because I wanna let you go, but I wanna resolve this because we can't have a discussion when we've got a kerfuffle of,
You have a motion and a
Yes, and
second,
so-
you have to act on it.
and so what we need to do is vote on the motion, and then we can vote on amending the motion afterwards. That's what I'm just trying to figure out. Scratch your head there, Dave.
I'm not a parliamentarian.
I know, and I'm trying to wish Bill Chapman was
I
here.
don't know what the purpose of an amendment would be if you had to deal with the original motion first.
I feel like we voted on amendments during discussion, and then the amendment gets put into the original vote on now, the original with the, I feel like we've done it
It would
before.
have, everybody would, it would have to be an agreement of some kind.
We would have a vote on the amendment.
If you allow the motion to
Yeah.
occur, and amendments to occur in the motion, you could discuss the motion for the next 30 years.
that's a
Right,
good point.
right, right. Oh, and the person making the motion has to be amenable to amending the motion.
Absolutely.
The person seconding the motion has to be amenable to that.
It's not
as well.
gray, it's black and white.
Okay.
Point of order.
So,
Some agreement.
So I am not agreeable at this time to the amendment. That's important to say.
Great.
Now, we have a second to discuss the motion, and, you know, is valid points you want to bring, which you have, let's discuss the points.
and then so
Can
we
you talk
can,
a little louder about, there's no
Oh.
microphone today on the
It's
live
just right
stream,
here.
so.
I was screaming in that direction.
And for those of us who might not catch
Thanks,
everything you
Counselor,
say.
I'm happy to do so.
so I suppose what we'll do is we'll talk about the contract. We can entertain some conversation about this, well, no, we can't.
Well, no,
We can, but
no.
after the vote on the contract,
I have a difference of opinion, but that's fine.
Well,
I've been overruled, but from meetings I've sat in over the years, once you have made a motion and somebody comes and amends, adds an amendment to that motion, it has been my experience in boards I've sat on that the amendment needs to be dealt with before you can go back to the original motion. Now, this is coming from town boards and town things. This is
Yeah.
not a town, this is a town board, this is a corporation board. And I do not know corporation law, I haven't played in corporation law, so I could very well not have a clue what I'm talking about.
Nobody's gonna
I'll
sue us.
fully admit to that.
I think it goes,
I think I've seen it that way too. I mean, we could just vote on the amendment, right?
but I'll
Sure,
also say that,
absolutely.
yeah, we can, after we vote on this contract, someone can move to amend what we voted
but
on.
also,
I don't know about that.
if you,
Once
if
it's voted on, it's
you
done.
want to table the motion for the moment and vote on an amendment to it, we can do that. Nobody's gonna sue us. We can do it that way too. You don't have to be so parliamentarian. But my perspective comes from a secondary point of order. We're in discussion. 2 meetings ago, this board voted on the proposal from Scrap Dogs. They approved it in that meeting. The action was to develop a contract, not what it was, 6-1. I was there. It was voted on 6-1.
Was I absent?
I had no idea.
It was
No,
the,
I'm directing that question.
I don't remember.
it was before we had the contract written, it was the,
I understood, but we approved the contract and the scope of the scrap dogs and said, but we wanted to have a contract drafted for approval by the board.
We approved the general concept and waited for a contract language that we would then approve at another meeting.
Correct. That action doesn't reopen the approval of the scrap dogs proposal. It only affects having to execute a contract for that, long-term proposal. Somehow, this is morphed into a second vote on the same subject. That is parliamentary incorrect.
I actually viewed the vote that we had last time as the vote on the contract.
Okay, so the vote here tonight is on the contract,
On the contract.
not on the scope of accepting or rejecting the scrap dogs proposal. If there comes to be made a change to the contract, that is fine. If we don't like the contract and the way it's worded, that is okay. We don't even have to legally have a contract.
But I'll just question, if we do not approve a contract,
It proceeds without a contract. You don't have to legally have a contract. You could sign the proposal and call that your contract. Secondarily, you can also have a verbal contract with them. You don't have to have a written contract for anything. If you don't, not for
we
something.
would be for franchise.
I'm
You're
just,
not suggesting that.
no, I'm not suggesting that in the least. I'm suggesting that this is not a discussion based on parliamentary procedure of reopening the vote that was already occurred on accepting the proposal from Scrap Dogs. Secondarily, it's never been brought, there's no agenda item that's been changed to bring that to the table, only the discussion on the contract upon which the operational procedure would occur with Scrap Dogs and Midco Solid Waste.
Yeah, and so that's what we're doing now.
Okay, so that's why in discussion about going for a second motion about doing the process all over again, not germane to the discussion. Not germane to the action item on the agenda tonight.
Great, so where are we at?
You're voting on a contract.
No, I get that. I'm trying to sort out, I'm just trying to realign back to where we're, like,
So what did we vote down?
the contract.
Contract.
no, we didn't.
Well,
Last
I
time.
viewed the last, I wasn't here, apologize. I viewed the contract was rejected, but it morphed into a discussion about the acceptance or the issue of conflict of interest came up, which I agree is incorrect completely in the situation, legally. It morphed into a discussion about the whole concept all over again. You can't reopen something unless one, there's a substantive reason, it's brought to the table, it's put onto an agenda like it should be. There was no vote to change the agenda at that last meeting that I saw in that. There was no vote to add that item to the agenda. It was only an action to accept or reject the contract upon which that accepted operation would operate.
Just like the discussion we're having right now is not quite specific to the contract, I allowed a broader discussion at the last meeting as well.
That's fine.
And so we had a good conversation about the proposal as a whole, and I allowed it, and that did cause some new concerns from board members, and they voted against the contract because of that discussion, just like we're having another discussion not specific to the contract at this time.
And both for one.
So then we'll
So Bob,
call for the vote.
Bob, are you taking, sorry,
No, go ahead,
Bob,
Deb.
are you taking the position then, Bob, that the motion to, the motion to amend the first motion is out of order for the reasons that you just suggested?
Yes.
And so then that leaves us with the first motion, I think, Bob.
It brings us back to the motion at hand, or a discussion of the secondary motion, that's fine. But I don't want to, reject the discussion, because we don't have to do that formal. But we've accepted the proposal 2 meetings ago by a vote in terms of the proposal by Scrap Dogs. We only said, logically, we wanted to see a contract, and that's smart. No, by the way, technically, you don't have to have a contract. You don't, it's not required by law.
Next, the way that I'm reading this, and I'm just trying to figure out how we can get to a vote so we can actually approve this thing. But,
Well,
but I will say, I don't think that this amendment, the way that it's written, I move to amend that before we authorize to sign the agreement, but we would still sign the agreement, that these things are accomplished first. Now, I think that those things are good things for us to be doing over the next year. I'm not quite sure that I could support that on this current, but it is worded as such that it's related to the document that we have our agenda item on.
As I read these items, what they're suggesting is we put on the shelf the scrap yard proposal and do these activities for the next plan period, whatever it may be, to affect a bid cycle. And I agree with the comment that somebody made that this is something we can do after the 1 year. It's a pilot. We're not contracting for a 10-year program here.
Mhm.
And we knew that. That was a discussion we had 2 meetings ago. And that's what we voted on. So I'm happy to have a discussion. I'm not, but this, as I read it and hear it, suggests we would revisit the vote we had 2 meetings ago. That's how it's written. Am I wrong?
Gentlemen?
It basically is a motion to follow the bylaws of the corporation of how, and common practices that we apply to the Lincolnville Select Board as far as the way we do things. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that applies to this board, I stated that earlier, but, I mean, I've rarely seen any time that you hire anybody on the bottom line without asking for competitive prices, bids. We did a little research, we did get a person who was willing to give us prices and bids to pick up at the site and everything. We're not authorized to contract with anybody. We're just two members of a town that represents 17% of the board. You know, I mean, really, it doesn't matter what you think. But this is part of a bigger discussion that will come up at the next meeting. This is a step to follow the rules and regs.
That'd be fine, I would accept that, except for, as I recall, Dave Kinney made 4 or 5 comments during the meeting I'm referring to, in which he brought up as one of his points, I'm not speaking to you, Dave, by the way. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me over there? The point he made was that normally we might go out to bid for something. That was discussed at that meeting. It was covered and taken into consideration when we made that vote. So, you know, you can't, in my opinion, and I feel very strongly about this, you can't keep bringing up topics on something that you want to take an action on, and we'll be discussing this next June. And I think this is getting really, really out of hand. Because in me, it's fundamentally one of the collective things that we have to collectively work on this board to move forward with the many action items we have. How many hours we spent on this pilot program, RFB? I'm sorry, it's mind-boggling in my opinion. So you can act on this secondary motion if you want, but I think we need to act on the motion that was made and seconded now and get this going forward.
Well, so the way that I heard the discussion go round and round, and I'll just state it, and then if I'm wrong, then please correct me. Allison did not accept the amendment, so we will vote on the original motion, which was to accept this contract as amended, with the only amendment being adding C's in where appropriate. And then if that passes or fails, you can try to move to amend it after the fact, and we'll have an additional vote on amending. Well, and I'll say one last thing. You all should grab this, because I think this is just smart to be doing over the pilot program. It's kind of nicely, succinctly laid out other areas to explore and see if there's more opportunity, because if you did items 1 through 7, maybe,
Why would they, I'm sorry.
I'm just throwing it out there because they're trying to grow a business.
I
and so-
mean, I've been sitting in Waste Watch meetings with Davis and Tessa for a year talking about all the data that we've collected with composting and food waste disposal. And Jim too, and for longer than that. We've had, the guy from Exeter Agri Energy has been here. We've had members of this board there, so to suggest that they don't know all this stuff, I mean, even, I was talking to Craig Stewart Paul from Fiber Rate the other day, he was actually gonna be wanting food waste, like that's something, and he said $45 a ton. Well, Allison, you know, here I am speaking against my own economic interests right now, but that is quite a deal, and Camden would be well served to accept that. I mean, that's a competitor saying, whoa, you know, to be perfectly honest, that's just, everybody that really studies this, and this is why I feel like, you know, it was totally appropriate what Jim did. This is a really great opportunity that came to us, and just kind of like with Hannaford and the film plastic. What if we had said, oh no, you know what, before you take our film plastic, we really need to put that out to bid. No, that was like this really great opportunity that doesn't normally happen at most transfer stations, and all of a sudden, stars align, we're able to do this. We don't say, we gotta make sure that we're getting the best deal for our film plastic. We let it go and make sure it happens. And later on, if people are fighting for our film plastic, then that's fantastic and we'll look at it. But I just think it's a little bit insulting to suggest that they don't know. I mean, they know about, there's a lot of information out there about the crisis of food waste disposal options or diversion options.
Is it something that will help the conversation, or can I just call for the vote?
Oh, no, discussion's allowed. Anybody else wants to discuss it?
Yeah, I have one thing to say, okay? I guess I'm the one that brought all this on, because of what I believe in, and as a steward of the town that I was elected for, of every taxpayer's best interest and money. Unfortunately, not everybody views my opinion as their own, and I'm glad of that, and I appreciate your opinion and everybody's opinion. I might clarify that we're not just talking Camden here, we're talking 4 towns, okay? I just want to clarify that, or at least I am. I've got a few things here, and then I'm done with this, because the stress level is pushing me away, and we're not accomplishing anything, and I'm not sure if this meeting thing and the motion and the amendment is right. Rest assured I'll find out, but I've had enough. I'm fully committed to the purpose of the corporation as set forth in our interlocal agreement. I am fully in favor of composting waste provided it can be done in an environmentally sound and cost-effective manner, contrary to what is out there or what has been told out there by local media and people who don't belong or who are not members of this board of directors. I am also fully in favor of this corporation being managed professionally in a fair, honest, and transparent manner in keeping with good government practices. A no-bid contract, particularly with an employee of the corporation, is not fair. In my opinion, is not fair or honest to the taxpayers of our communities, in my opinion. Competitive proposals invite competition while guarding against favoritism, fraud, and corruption. Competitive proposals secure the best possible outcome at the lowest price to benefit the taxpayers. Before there is a vote on this no-bid contract, ask yourself these questions. Does your town have a purchasing policy requiring bids or at least competitive quotes? As a selectman, would you approve a no-bid contract for your town? Shouldn't our corporation be operated in transparent manner that is open and fair to all? In my opinion, this issue has been mismanaged. My opinion. To the best of my knowledge, although there are multiple food waste recycling opportunities available, including, but not limited to, garbage to garden, we compost it, agri-cycle, agri-energy, no one has sought alternative proposals or attempted to negotiate the best contractual arrangement possible for the taxpayers. and the original contract put before us, I don't believe it was before legal counsel. We were asked to sign it. This type of management is a disservice to this board, the corporation, and most importantly, to the taxpayers of our 4 member communities. If the board approves this no bid contract, we're complicit in the mismanagement of this corporation. My opinion. I will not vote to be part of this mismanagement. We have an alternative that is open and fair to all, as well as responsible to the taxpayers we serve, which is right there in your hand, and everybody has a copy of it. We should take it. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
You bet. Any further discussion? Hearing none. And just reiterating, what we are voting on is approving this contract as slightly amended. All those in favor, and Deb, you're gonna have to say yes or no. All those in favor?
Yes.
Great, so that is 4 in favor, with Deb, Bob, Allison, and Owen voting in favor. All those opposed? And we have 3 in opposition, with you carrying the weight of both. So the motion passes, and I would await any other applicable motions on just the general concept of the Strat Dog Community Composting Contract Review.
So Wendy's vote don't count?
No, you voted for her weight.
Oh, that means 4?
It's the weighted vote.
The weighted vote.
Between Camden and Rockport, that's 7.
Every vote's a weighted vote.
Yeah.
Are there any further motions?
Yes, no motions, no more comments.
Would like to comment if I may.
Please.
I would like to make a statement to the 2 of you in Strat Dogs that I want you to know that what I've done has no reflection on your abilities, your capabilities, what you're doing and what you're trying to do. I'm 100% in favor of it. It is the way things are progressing and the way things are moving. I feel that at some point in time, we need to start trying to follow our own rules and regulations. And I am sorry, and I apologize that you guys were the ones I tried to on. You had my 2 cents, so.
I have the same opinion.
Yeah, and I'll own up to my ownership of this, trying to manage, 4-town board as the chair, and being relatively new in that role has been interesting. So I apologize about how the process and where I've fallen short in it. And I'll also just kind of state that at the end of the 1-year pilot project, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but I have no problem going out to a competitive bid at that point in time to see, once you've gathered some better metrics, and we've, continued to pick away at some of these things, see if there are better options out there or other options. Likely you all will, have a great handle on it, and so, even if we did have other folks put in bids to manage compost at the facility, I would think that you'd likely have a couple of legs up on them, having done it for a year and piloted it out. So, thank you. Any other comments? And before I ask for a motion for adjournment, have I forgot, I'm like way spacey today, so have I forgotten anything that we need to discuss while we're here in this setting, other than how great everyone looks?
I would just like to really try harder to have the meetings at a place where we already have a live streaming system installed, because and I know it's funny because it's like the thing Allison's always going on about, but it's useful. People do watch this stuff. That's how it ends up in the newspaper, and I know that's annoying to some people too, but it is important, and we did agree we were gonna live stream, and just all of a sudden when we just throw it in a different room, it's not that easy to scramble to try to find all the equipment and make it happen. I would like to try harder to use the resources that we already have in our, member towns.
Washington Street Rome's got a committee in it, doesn't it?
No, not until 7, so the Pathways Committee is in there at
Oh,
7,
I
and it
thought-
would have been very easy, they don't even live stream it.
Pathways.
So it just would have been, there were any number of ways to resolve that.
Was our room unavailable?
I'm not sure.
Originally, it was thought that they were,
Ours,
oh, I don't know.
no,
Is there a,
no, the Parker room? Did we check on
is there a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn,
Is
please.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Hey, there's some unanimity right there. Thank you, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
Thanks, guys.
Allison, do you want me to?
Yes, please.